It's Emily Bush, and I'm going to tell you some tips and tricks for getting started with your 10-day lashes. So first of all, they're going to come in a package either like this, or it might look like this. And when you look inside the package at the lashes, if you open it, you're going to be facing it this way. What you want to do is you want to turn it around this way, and that is how you match up which eye is meant to go with which side of the lashes. So this is meant to be the outer corner for this eye, and across, inner corner for this eye, and across. So I just hold it this way so that I don't get confused. Now, in preparation for applying your lashes, you want the skin around your eye area to be clean and free of any oils. So I am very, very, very oily, and so I used an oil-free cleanser, and I just gently cleaned my eye area to make sure that there's no oil around my eye area. You can use any oil-free cleanser. We do also have a lash wash that you can use. So to get started, you need the items from your essentials kit. You need a bond, seal, and you need your applicator tweezers. Now, some of the bundles also will come with a primer, and so you would use that first. It's the same liquid as this bond, just in a little bit thinner formula with a mascara wand. So either way, the first thing you're going to do is put some of this bond on your lashes, whether it's with a primer or with the bond. Actually, first, I prefer to curl my lashes, and this can be a personal preference, but I have a mirror here. I'm going to curl my lashes because this will help me get mine out of the way. And so that is up to you. Now, the lash segments will stay curled. They have undergone a process that will keep them curled throughout the time that you wear them. So I prefer to get my natural lashes curled to kind of get them out of the way. That is up to you. Also, I'm going to be showing you how to do the underside application. You can also do an over the lash application. I just prefer to use the underside application because you do not wear mascara with these extensions. They do all that work for you. And so then that way they're covering up the kind of lighter color of my natural lashes. And I also just find it easier to apply underneath. So the Moitie is updating their instruction booklets. And so if you have your order in front of you and you have the instruction booklet, there might be some things differently than what I am talking about. So please feel free to ask me any questions that you have, but I'm going to give you the most up-to-date information that I know of. So here is the bond. And so you would either be using the primer, or I'm just kind of taking the bond and very lightly painting some on the base of my lashes and moving it up my lashes just slightly. I'm not going all the way to the ends because it's not really necessary. So it just kind of looks like a bad mascara job right now. So that's going to work as one side of the essentially Velcro that's going to hold the lashes together. And then remember, I'm holding them this way. This is the Full Glam set. For comparison, whoops, this one is Los Angeles. So if you want to kind of compare, Full Glam is a little bit more dense and it's a shorter length. The Light Glam is going to be this same length, only a little bit less dense. So I'm going to use my application tool, and I'm going to start with my outer corner. I'm going to use the tool to grab it near the base. I don't want to be pulling too hard on the ends of these lashes. So I'm going to use that to take it off. I'm not using my fingers because your fingers have oils in them, and you don't want to be transferring that to the lashes because the oil is like the opposite of the bond. It'll break down that bond. Now, in some of these display cases, there is almost like a glue dot holding each segment in, so that looks pretty when you get it. And so you just want to kind of make sure, I do use my fingers for this, very carefully to feel that there's no adhesive on here that was just holding into the package, because that's not going on your lash line. So if there was, I would just very carefully pull that off and discard it. And then you have a choice here. Some people like to dab some bond right here into their tray and use the lash segment to scoop up the bond. I prefer to just go ahead and paint it right on where I'm gonna need it. That's just a little bit easier for me. What I'm doing right now is I'm making sure that I'm holding the lash segment the way that it's going to go onto my eye. So you might need to kind of practice before you do this the first time. So I've realized it's gonna go this way. So that means my bond needs to go on this side of the lash segment. And it is totally okay to take kind of a practice round before you apply any of the bond and just kind of practice how you're gonna be putting them on, just so you kind of get a feel for it. And then all I did was I painted some bond on the band of this lash segment. And then I'm gonna close my bond back up so it doesn't get dried out. And then some people find it easiest to look straight down into a mirror. I find it easiest to hold my mirror out in front of me just a little bit and look at the underside of my lashes so I can see right where I'm going to be placing this. So you can kind of play around with it and see what feels the most comfortable to you as you're putting this on. And so I'm just going to let this kind of meet up with the bond that I already painted on. And I want to make sure that I'm not putting this on my waterline. So I'm scooting it up a little bit. I got a little bit of bond in my waterline. That's okay. I'll kind of be able to take a Q-tip and gently kind of wipe that out. So it looks kind of messy right now because I got some bond in there. But you can see that the lash segment just met right up with the other side of the Velcro, if you want to compare it to Velcro, and it just stuck right there to my lashes. You also might notice I didn't start all the way down here. I've got a few little eyelashes down here. I prefer not to place my segments there. I feel like that kind of drags the look of my eye down. I want lift, and I don't want it kind of hanging off this edge. I also have a partially hooded eye. I don't want it kind of going into this crease. So I just go in a tiny bit and start there. You can't tell once they're all on. Next, I'm gonna just make sure that I didn't get bond on my tweezers so that I don't have them sticking where I don't want them to stick on the next one. So then I'm just taking the next segment. There are 5 segments. I only use 4. So depending on your eye shape and size, you might not need all of them. And I'm just making sure there's not adhesive on it that was sticking it to the display. It feels fine. And then again, I'm taking my bond. Now, if you had put a little dollop of bond in your tray and just scooped up that way, you wouldn't be having to open your bond each time. So that's one reason for that preference. But if this is working for me, I'm not going to change it. And I'm going to look in my mirror again. I hope you can see what I'm doing. And this is where you need a little bit of practice to get it right. And it is okay if you need some practice. But I want that next segment. There must be some bond on my tool here, so I'm kind of wiping it off because it stuck to it as I was trying to stick it down. I want the second segment to join right next to the first one that I applied. I don't want it to overlap, but I want it to be directly next to it, touching it. And that's what's going to give you a seamless look. And it's going to give it something else to kind of join to help it be more secure. So if you need to pull it off and put it back on again, just add a little more bond, you can. We haven't clamped down yet. That is what is going to really make these stay. That's what activates the bond. And so before you've done that, you can take it off and put it back on again. So we're halfway done with this eye. And when I put this bond on, I'm being pretty generous with it. I want it to get a good hold. And then again, I'm just going to be trying to join it to that segment that it's next to. And then if you need to kind of take your applicator, whoops, see, we're gonna do it again. See how easily I just pulled it right back off? I wanna do that one again. So if you don't get it perfect the first try, it's okay. So the very first time you're applying these, black out a good amount of time, block out an hour, just so you're not feeling rushed. And just know that this is a new skill that you can do. If I could do it, you can definitely do it. Okay, that went better that time, and I'm gonna kind of scoot it up. If you feel like you got it in your water line, you would feel it. And so you would either pull it off and put it back on again, or you can kind of just scoot it up a little bit. Which is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be on the safe side here and take it off because it just felt like it was not going where I wanted it to. So do you see how it's okay if it takes you a couple attempts to get it placed exactly right? Because this is where you want it to be for the next week, 2 weeks, 10 days. So we want to do it right so that it's not, so that you're not fighting it later. All right, there we go. And then I usually skip over this one. In this particular set, all the segments are pretty uniform. In some of them, they might be a little bit more wispy, a little thinner on the inner ones. And so I usually would skip this one and go right to that inner corner eye. So I've got that one, just making sure there's not adhesive on it from the package. And then I'm putting my bond just right on the band. I'm closing it up tight. And then once again, I want it to meet that one. Now for my inner corner, I hold it a little bit differently. I hold it almost vertically to the segment. You'll have to see what works best for you, but my nose just kind of gets in the way. And so especially when I'm doing the other eye. And so it just works for me to hold it a little bit differently. Now I'm making sure that I don't have any bond on my applicator so that it doesn't stick when I clamp my lashes. So the next step that you need to do, you've got them all placed, you like where they are, it's time to clamp. So you can see how your applicator is curved there to go along with your eye shape so that you can comfortably and gently, you're just gently squeezing this. You don't have to do anything too crazy. And I'm going to want to go all the way across my eyes. So whether you want to come from this way or this way to get to that inner corner, you can kind of try and see what feels more comfortable. So I'm just going to try to make it all the way across. And if it tries to stick to your applicator, don't worry. I just kind of close my eye to kind of gently pull it off of the applicator. So I'm going to try to come from this way to clamp that inner one, get that clamped. So the pressure from clamping it is what activates that bond. And then you just kind of make sure you have it placed how you want it to, how you want it to be. And then the next step is the seal. So if you didn't have this seal, if you bought your application tool separately or something like that and you don't have seal, then this bond will just take about 48 hours to fully cure, and so you'll want to avoid getting it wet during that time. What this seal does is it forces that bond to cure much faster. And so it almost looks like mascara, but it's white. And I don't apply it on the full length of the lashes. I'm just applying it where the bond is And then I'm going to go in from the top and do some seal too. And I'm just kind of dabbing it on. If you like a little bit of a less fluffy look, you could apply the seal all the way up the lashes if you like that look. I like them to look kind of more fluffy and soft, and so I just apply my seal right at the base there on the top and the bottom. And now this eye, I did the bond already as a primer, and so it's all ready to go too. So I'm gonna go right into my next eye. But as we're already at a 15-minute video here, I'm going to let you just re-watch if there's anything that you missed, rather than watching me do the second eye again. If you have any questions, just reach out.